So of all the details and information we have on Assassin's Creed Mirage thus far, by far one of the most promising and exciting parts about Mirage is its open world of Baghdad. The last few RPG games, of course, have been very different to the kind of open worlds we've had in Assassin's Creed in the past. I've always preferred having these smaller scale worlds with dense cities, tons of NPCs, and plenty of opportunity for parkour, crowd blending, and other assassin-related activities. Now don't get me wrong, I still like big, vast open worlds to explore as well. Origins and Black Flag did this particularly well, but for Assassin's Creed, I've always been partial to the cities, and Black Flag and Origins still had their fair share of dense cities within the world, even Odyssey to an extent. However, this is somewhere I felt Valhalla lacked. I mean, there's these beautiful landscapes, but very few dense cities in the world, leaving a lot of its massive open world to be pretty barren and a slog to traverse through. One of the great things about parkour is how it keeps you engaged when traversing through those cities. It doesn't typically get boring jumping across rooftops or running through crowded streets, or at least not as much as riding on a horse through empty fields and fast traveling. So I was very excited to hear that Mirage's world is going to be considerably smaller than the last few RPG games. Not to say it's going to be a small world by any means, but it will be a lot more condensed and focused like the older games. I say it time and time again, but Paris from AC Unity is my ideal Assassin's Creed open world. It's so immersive, there's so many NPCs and random events happening as you traverse. The world and buildings are so well designed for parkour, and of course, it looks stunning. So when I heard the art director say Baghdad is going to be around the size and as dense as Paris from Unity, that made me quite excited. Now, of course, we still need to see what the world looks like, but we know how this world is going to be structured, and with them constantly referring to Unity's world, it's not too difficult to imagine what Baghdad is going to look like. I mean, you even get a pretty good sense of it in the cinematic trailer with these crowded streets and markets. The way this world is being described has so much potential, and it won't just be the city either. There's going to be some wilderness outside the city, and of course Alamut's castle. We can also count on a pretty good amount of variety within the city. There's going to be 4 different districts or regions, if you would. The Kark, apologies if I mispronounce, which is supposed to be the industrial area of the world. The Round City, which is of course the original core of Baghdad that's shaped in a circle, hence the name. This will be where all the wealthy people reside, along with the Grand Palace. Expect Bazum to pick some pockets in this area. The Science District includes the universities and libraries, including the House of Wisdom. The Trade District, where obviously there will be lots of commerce. I believe that's where all the markets will be that we saw at the beginning of the cinematic trailer. And then there's also a military district or area, which is supposed to be restricted and controlled by the military. I imagine we'll have a few missions sneaking through there, but each district should allow for a decent amount of variety within the city, which is typically hard to do when the world is all within one localized city, but that all sounds great. It's going to look incredible visually, that's pretty much already a known fact. Say what you will about Ubisoft, but they typically always make some gorgeous environments, and they usually design their worlds with a great deal of historical accuracy. That's something that was largely maintained even in those massive RPGs. What's interesting about Baghdad though is it was destroyed about 5 centuries after Mirage in the 13th century, so they didn't have tons of records and references to work with. So they studied other nearby cities from the time to sort of get a handle on what Baghdad might have looked like. Just from the trailer and artwork, it's clear the city looks very lively and vibrant. We also know that there was a heavy emphasis in the development of having the world and NPCs react to your actions to make it feel as real as possible. So hopefully people won't just have stone cold reactions to seeing someone assassinated in the streets. Who knows, maybe you can even use the chaos of crowds to your advantage. And it's very good to know that the world was designed fully with parkour in mind, bringing back the corner swings and different interactable objects to use parkour more efficiently throughout the world. As for what we can actually do within this world, so far we know that there will be collectibles, some form of world events. I'd have to imagine something along the lines of what Unity had, you know, with tackling thieves, killing criminals, that sort sort of thing. There may even be little brief events with some sort of story, like in Valhalla. Of course, that's just me speculating, but what I was excited to hear was the return of assassination contracts. Things similar to AC2, Brotherhood, and even Black Flag, where you get a target in the open world and assassinate them for a reward. I do kind of hope there will be some sort of small story behind it, like who the target is and why we need to assassinate them, but very happy to hear those will be returning. Again, adding to the assassin fantasy. We're also getting a wanted level system, which will work sort of similarly to the old game's notoriety, where guards will become more aware of you and be able to spot you just when in the open world if you're not discreet. Apparently, even crowds and civilians can at times recognize you if you were previously flagged as wanted. And of course, you can hide on rooftops or blend into crowds to escape and vanish. It sounds like a slightly more complex version of the notoriety we had in the early AC games, which is great to hear as well. There was always something really cool, especially in the first Assassin's Creed, about coming back to a city you had already been to, since your actions have caused the guards to be more alert and aware of your presence. So you'd have to be more careful when going through the city. I always really liked that, and I'm glad it's finally coming back to a degree. It doesn't sound like it'll be exactly the same. In fact, it sounds even better, but we'll see. Again, Baghdad sounds like everything I've been wanting in an Assassin's Creed open world for a long time, and hearing it be compared to Paris from Unity, one of my personal favorite open worlds, leaves me very hopeful for this world and city. Baghdad just has so much potential. Let me know what you guys think about how Baghdad sounds thus far. It may actually be a while before we see what this game and world looks like, since the game has reportedly been delayed to August, but if they need that time to make this into a proper old school style AC game, I'm all for it. But if you enjoyed the video, as always, I'd appreciate it if you left a like and considered subscribing to the channel if you're new. Big thank you to my members for supporting me. I really appreciate it, you guys. And other than that, thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.